welcome to the 20th season of Ignite Your Soul Connection. My name is Mushim Soot, and I am the owner of Masterforce and the founder of Masterforce International Leadership Academy. Our focus for this summer solstice 2024 is affirming love. You may wonder why this topic needs to be discussed at such great length, and we will say that if you take a look around, not many conversations are being held regarding love. So for this week, we will unfold affirming love for life, affirming love for family, affirming love for children, affirming love for our communities, and finally, affirming love for ourselves. Each day, our Master Force certified coaches will share with you their own personal antidotes for increasing love throughout their daily lives. We recommend that you request the supplement that was created to go along with this discussion so that the insights shared can stay present once the episodes have ended. So now, just sit back and enjoy the conversation. We're glad that you're here. Welcome. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for the 20th edition of Ignite Your Soul Connection. I am so glad that you've taken time to be with us. I love the rays coming in, the sun is shining, giving us all that light. Don't worry, it's going to move soon. My name is Mushim Soot, and I'm here to begin this session today. And then for the rest of the week, you will be hearing from our executive coaches, Dr. Sanja and her husband, Oran. They will facilitate the rest of the week. But we are going to be talking about love every single day. And I would like for you to listen with the intent of increasing your capacity to love and to be loved. We're going to explore so many different ways. And we're also looking at where do we need to be healed that stops us from being loved. Okay? So sit back. I want to make sure, I hope you have your little beverage. I have my blue cup with my peppermint tea because today is all set day. All right? And so now I would like to introduce our amazing guest for tonight. I will start with the elder who is my brother in spirit. Where is Osera 10? Hello.
Hello. Good evening. How are you?
Welcome. Thank you for joining us. And then one of our newest coaches, but very much my Capricorn sister queen, Mother Mecca. Hello, Mother Mecca. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I am well, and I am so excited to have the two of you in this conversation. I think it's even exciting that we have the elder and the newbie, right?
Yes.
And then we get to explore this conversation at different levels of generations. Can you see that?
Yes.
So don't hold back. So I want to start out by first of all having each of you kind of tell us about yourself. In this case, I would love for Mother Mecca, since you are the newbie in the house, I'd like for you to go ahead and tell us about yourself and tell us where you live, what you're up to, and then when did you get certified as a life coach, and what had you do that, and then we'll start asking Osir the same thing.
Hi, I am Mother Mecca, better known as Mother Mecca 115 LLC. I am a teacher by trade. That's my day job. But before even that, I am a mom. The best thing in life right now is being a granny. I love being a granny. That is like the all-time it's like the favorite part of my day. Okay. Um, right now I'm teaching summer school and that has been amazing. And I became a life coach in Well, see, I'm 48 now. I was 44. Well, I turned 45. So it was 3 years ago. I started at 44 and I turned 45. And it was my birthday gift. It's just so amazing. Right. And I was actually on a journey to find myself and where I was being led to, just being coming out of Christianity. I was searching for answers about my father. It just felt like I was having some type of void. And I was on Facebook and I was posting things, and I met Kiana, and then I met Moot, and it's just been so beautiful since then, just opening up to my true natural spiritual self. And that's just been my journey, and it's been amazing. From that point, I actually
Mm.
literally started my own business. That's where the Mother Mecca came from. I am very motherly in my sign anyway, and being a queen. But that's where it all came from. And I started a business. So I'm not only a life coach, but a wellness practitioner, and I have clients and things like that. So it's been amazing. It's been an amazing journey.
Wonderful. And Mother Mecca, you also have been on a few of my podcasts, providing us with cosmic weather.
Yes.
So I love that. I love that you're always like, okay, Moot, yes, I can do that. So thank you for being that type of person as well.
Oh,
You,
no
you always
problem.
have your hand up. Yeah. And then we go to Brother Osair. Now, Osair, I know you pronounce it a little bit different from me, but we still know that I'm talking about you. I
Right.
mean, we have so much history. We have lived many lifetimes together, I am sure. But why don't you go ahead and tell people about yourself, where you are, where you live, what you're up to, where you've been, and when you became a life coach and why?
Excellent. First, I'm sorry, Mother Mecca. You're queen of your queen card is what?
Queen of Diamond.
Queen of Diamonds. Okay, we got a Queen of Diamonds and two Queen of Clubs.
Oh,
Queen of Spades, Queen of
I'm the
Spades,
Queen of Spades. We're King of Clubs. Yeah.
King of
So
Clubs. Yeah, yeah, we're
hey,
King of Clubs.
good. So I'm currently residing in St. Louis, Missouri now, but I'm a Chicagoan. I grew up in the western suburbs of Chicago. I'm a '60s child, so don't let this youth fool you. I've been around for a long time. Currently, I took 20 years off and recently returned to work. I'm working in for the VA. I'm the community employment coordinator for veteran employment services here in the state of Missouri, down here in St. Louis. That's what I do for on my government side of the house. In addition to that, I've started what is known as St. Louis New Thought Center. It's an expanded approach to Christianity for those who have decided to leave the traditional approach, but yet they find that there's some golden nuggets there. So we have an expanded conversation around that, the metaphysical side of what we call Christianity. And then lastly, Solutions for Living is my coaching practice that I recently reignited. I took a long time off from really seeing clients, and I've been doing that. I'll say about the last 6 months, I'm starting to see clients again. I enjoy being a grandfather. So I've had, at this point in my life, I've had so many experiences, but I have 4 adult children from a 30-year-long marriage. The wife passed 14, made her transition 14 years ago. When she passed, we had 4 grandchildren. She got to see each child have a child. And then since that time, they've multiplied. There's 10 of them. So I enjoy being a grandfather. So I started actually at her when she made her transition. That year was the year that I decided to go into the coaching curriculum, and I chose it not so much to go into practice, but from what I was knew about and from what Moot has shared, it was an opportunity for me to rediscover who I was, because after having been married for at that point 30 years, and I was at that point I was 52 when she passed, 54, 52, and I had been married since I was 21. So
Wow.
then so I it was an opportunity. It's been an journey of rediscovery, and the coaching that I took for self discovery has really been instrumental in me evolving and being able to find the joy in life, um, regardless of what is going on in life. Yeah.
Yes, and you were part of the first class in 2010, and I'm so excited that you took that on because
Yeah.
you have been very instrumental in helping us to grow the business. Also, for those of you who are listening, if you're either if you're on the Facebook Ignite Your Soul Connection page, we have our producer who is actually posting a supplement that you can actually use to go along with the conversation this week. Because we want you to have something that will forward this conversation even after all of the episodes are over. So make sure you pick that up. You can pick that up on you can pick that up at the Master Force International Leadership Academy page, as well as the Master Force page, and then Ignite Your Soul Connection. And I believe each of us will also post it to our page at some point. So now let us get into this queenly conversation. How about that? And the thing about queens is that they are of service to the community, right? So now I want to ask you, was there ever a time in your life when you found yourself indifferent to how you were living? Because tonight's conversation is about affirming love for life. But was there a time when you weren't present to affirming love, to having love, to being love? Who wants to go
Well,
first?
I'll jump in at the after the passing of my wife, probably 4 years after that, I kind of fell into that, feeling somewhat indifferent. At that point in time, I had closed the traditional church that I was in. I had moved to Atlanta. I had severed a relationship that I had been in after her passing, and I was just feeling as though nothing had meaning anymore, or it didn't have the significance that it had prior to that point in my life. And this, surprisingly, this was after I had taken the master force, so it came in handy. I began to put into play the things that we learned through the master force curriculum. But that was the point in my life where, for actually, when I had just grown tired of teaching, preaching, coaching, and I was ready for something different. And so going to Atlanta was a disconnect from everyone I knew, everything I knew. Even though I had ambitions to do certain things, I found myself, that was a move where I lost everything. And that was the
Mm,
final loss of everything, meaning I had sold my home, packed up all my high end furniture, moved to Atlanta. Get there, long story cut it short, was after I got there, my mom moved back. She moved to Chicago, so I came back to help her, and I just was going to lease my property out, and my all of my furniture was stolen. Everything was stolen except my books, and so
wow.
it was a starting over. And then when I got here, the vehicle that I had was booted, and uh, at that point in time, I wasn't in a position to recapture it, and by the time I
Hmm.
was, it was gone. So it was a time for me of starting all over, and that. Uh, but right before the start up, I had went through that period of feeling indifferent, and I think the indifference was the vibrational frequency that ushered in all of the challenges.
Wow, wow. That's yes. We'll go deeper into that after Mecca gives us her play on this.
So I mean, there's different times that I can think about, but what resonated the most was when I okay, I was married, and I decided, like, hey, I don't want to be in this marriage. Um, I hadn't finished school yet. And so one thing that I did take from that, and what I told my daughter, is never get married until you have the education that you want. Because if you wake up one morning and say, I don't want to do this, you're you will be able to have your career, get your check, move. When I felt like I had to hit rock bottom. So
Mm.
I had to hit rock bottom. I had 3-month-old boys. So my boys were twins. They were 3 months old. My daughter was probably in fifth or sixth grade. So she became the mom in the home. And I don't know, when we first got on, I felt some energy of I don't want to say it was sadness, but it was emotion. And so I
Mm-hmm.
know that this is what I need to speak about. And so in that time period, I told myself it didn't matter what was going on. I was going to do something positive every day that would take me to where I needed to be. So
Mm.
living in a shack, it was like, hey, when the boys ride past, sometimes they say, I'm gonna buy that house and I'm gonna fix it up and I'm gonna let somebody live in there that needs it, because by the time we were there, they were 1 and 2, so they can remember some things before I end up leaving there and moving into housing. So it was like a whole thing. The children didn't know. What a little girl, she was in sixth grade, of course. She knew, but the boys didn't know that mom was on public assistance, that we were moving to housing, that we were getting food stamps. They never knew that, because even though I was going through that period, I still was shining. I still was bright. I still lived a nice life to my children. So that was like a turning point where I said that no matter what, I'm going to become an educated person, a teacher. I had to go back to those childhood dreams, and things like that. And so that was probably in my late 20s, because I had my boys, I believe, when I was like 28. So it's been 15 years that I've been a certified teacher. So leading up to that, it was a struggle, but I still affirmed love in my life at that time.
That so what I'm hearing, you both pointed to at least three things. You
Hmm.
you you hit rock bottom,
Yeah.
right? You hit rock bottom. You realized at some point you needed to start over right from the bottom, right from where you were, right? And
Hmm.
then you went back to realizing some of the dreams that were calling you forward. What
Hmm.
else would you say? Those are three things. What were the other things that gave you clues that you were off track and needed to get back on? What were some other things?
For
Can you
me,
think?
I had began to lose my joy. That was a clue that I was off track. I had no longer found contentment in the things that used to bring me contentment. Like I pastored and I had a successful church, but then I was having the cognitive dissonance of I was teaching a traditional message, even though it was kind of progressive, but yet I was aware that it was adulterated and there was
Mm.
coming a point where it was like oil and water, and I didn't want to continue to do that. So that was one of the things that began to come forth for me. I'm always been an optimistic person, but would begin to have um, pessimism, looking at situations for what they are versus looking at them for what they potentially could be. Um, I was feeling like, is all of this in vain? All the things and then it got to the point where, after I had lost everything and I was working what I would call a regular no end job, but I was doing the things I needed to do to maintain and to see that tunnel with the light in it come forth. And I began to pick up, have some health issues, primarily that was picking up a weight and just not feeling optimal. That was signs to me that something was different, because at this point
Mm-hmm.
at so I'm in my 50s, and that's the Saturn part of our life, I believe. um,
Mm-hmm.
Begin to show up, the work begins to show up. Up until that point, I lived a very good life. As you know, I lived in some really fine homes, drove nice cars, had a lot of money. uh, Abundance was there. And so it was a perfect storm came through my life. And now when I look at it, I don't look at it from the perspective of I made mistakes or missteps, but it gave me the opportunity, and we can probably going to get into this a little later, to see if what I was espousing actually works.
Mm.
We tell people, we share these theories, we share these um, other people's experiences, but it gave me the opportunity to reset and then to see. Only thing I had really was master force, because for me, I had a master's degree in counseling psychology, and I had worked in the field, but I had saw that it was a revolving door for individuals, because they weren't dealing with issues of the soul. They were dealing with issues of, the behaviors and things like that. So um, those was telltale signs for me that what I was doing was, it was time to do something different, or approach things from a different perspective.
That is awesome, Osir. Yes. Go ahead. What were you going to add, Mecca?
Now I haven't gotten to the part of me actually becoming that the I don't want to say real. I'm gonna use that word though, real spiritual self that I am right now. So from the time where I felt indifferent and I was changing, I was still at that time in church as a Christian, but I had started kind of partying with one of my girlfriends. And so it was like every weekend I'm gone, and my daughter, I was leaving my daughter with an older niece. And it was just like I was gone. I was gone. I was flying out of town. I was just doing all type of different things. So my uncle, which is a deacon in the church, he came and he said, Mecca, I had this dream. He was like, it was like 2 weeks ago. He said, I didn't know how to come over here, but I'm not coming as your uncle right now. I'm coming from a deacon as the deacon in the church. He's like, if you do not stop, and I mean today,
Oh,
he said, somebody's gonna die, or you're gonna lose your children. He said, I saw all of this in the dream. And he said, I'm telling you right now as a deacon of the church. And I said, I got you. So I go and I tell my girlfriend, I say, listen, I'm not going to go out. I'm not going to this party this weekend. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to spend time with my children.
mm.
Oh, you doing this, you doing that, you going back to church, you doing all this. And within 2 weeks, she got killed on her motorcycle.
No,
And I
Mecca.
said, I had her daughter at my house. I had dropped her off at school and I had to go and get her and everything. But literally, I've always had, I've always been a dreamer and stuff like that too. And probably the day before she got killed, I was laying on the couch. She came over to talk to me, and I was asleep. And I just kept playing like I was asleep. I didn't want to talk to her. So she came in, she said a couple things. She dropped her daughter off to me. And then my daughter was saying, Mama, her bike is so cute. So we were looking out the window and I said, Maya, I can't see her bike. So she was like, Ma, it's right there. I said, no, only thing I see is a black helmet. She said, Mom, her helmet is not black. Her helmet is orange. I said, Maya,
Oh,
all I see is a black helmet. The next day she got killed on her bike. So that
wow. How
right
old was her
there,
daughter, Mecca? How old was her
she was a
daughter?
kindergartner.
Mm.
And so she was in kindergarten. And so my boys were probably 1 years old. So this was like 19 years ago. Um,
Mm.
and that really, I went back to the church and I was um, teaching with the choir, with the youth choir. I started became a youth group leader, and that's where it took me to, without the partying. And I've never been like drinkers or nothing like that,
Yes.
but
Right.
it really made me get back on track to focus on what I said, that each day I'm gonna do something positive to help my situation so I can show my children that it doesn't matter where you start, just keep going. And education was very important to me and my family. So I wasn't even at the part yet of the true awakening, but it put me back on track to get to this awakening.
Wow. That is really a wonderful story. And it really is interesting because you could have pushed back on your uncle,
Hmm.
but that receptivity, it's, when the soul knows who to send
Yeah.
so that we can hear.
Hmm.
Yeah,
But
but we have to be
and I'm a
receptive
dreamer,
enough.
and I've been a dreamer since I was 7. So if somebody
Hmm.
comes and say, "I literally saw this in my dream," I'm going to take heed to it because I I've seen things,
Hmm.
since I was 7.
Yes.
So it's no way to say, "Oh well, you ain't never told me you was dreaming." It's like some people would do that, but I received it, and I believed
Yes.
it, and I stood on it.
Yes. So what were you getting, or Sarah, you were getting ready to say something?
No,
Okay.
I was
So
just
now, once you were able to regain your awareness, right? You all had different places where you regained your awareness. What did you do to keep you steady? I heard you, Osir, say what you had was Master Force and the tools. And then, so did you keep seeking that out? What actually had you focus so that you knew I need to keep going one foot in front of the other?
well, for me, I just have been all my life. I've felt like I've had this silent partner, that things always like for me things always work out for my favor in my favor. So I always had this feeling of if I just hold on, and go with the flow, that ultimately things will adjust themselves, and I won't have that I'll get beyond where I was at that point in time. So that's been a big one for me. That I've always been an individual who just knew that I win always along the way, and not get caught in what is showing up apparent. What it can all well for me, gratitude, knowing that it can
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
always be worse.
Yeah.
It can always get worse. So gratitude has been something that's kept me through that phase in my life. Making sure that I always find, it's because I'm optimistic. The gratitude in anything situation, like when there was a time when I told you when I moved back here after losing everything in Atlanta. I moved back here. My mom was staying in a assisted living facility, and I could not stay there beyond 30 days. So ultimately, that's just how the universe orchestrated things. I found an office space that I could go to, and it was a 24-hour access. So I would sleep there at night. The amount I was paying for office space was cheaper than it was to to rent a apartment. And so that just
Yep.
that how that came about. And at one point they was asking why I was there at night. I told them I have clients all over the world, so I that's the kind of work schedule that I have. So just I have this knowing that things always work out for me. That's one of my beliefs. So no matter
Yes.
how bad things get, I kind of hold on to that, and that's been important to me.
That's wonderful. What would you say, Mecca?
I would definitely co-sign exactly what he's saying because I never have a spirit of fear. I know that I tell people I'm invisible to crime. Like
Hmm.
that's how serious I am about knowing that I'm going to be safe, I'm going to be well,
Yes.
and um, I think that what really kept me on track, I used to always pray, God, no matter what, please keep me until my children are grown. I will never want them to not have me because not having your mom is totally different. You can have your grandmother, you can have anybody. So I used to say, I promise that I'm going to do what I need to do to raise them morally, ethically, and things like that. Now I get to say, help me, let me stay for my grandboys. So
Yes.
I got thank you. So um just being a mom and really taking that in and knowing that everything that I did was going to influence them and just having that protection over them. And then I really had a great foundation. I really feel like my family taught me well, and I was very and I believe in my intelligence. So it was like I may have made some life choices, which now once I got to move, I see that that's in my destiny. That was in my destiny
Yes.
anyway. So I could never beat myself up for things that I went through. Even when I say I married that fool twice, um, now I can't,
Nope.
I can't look at that as like, oh, why did you do that? Because that's in my destiny, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so once now I can go full force now and begin to talk about me being 44 and 45 going through things, because now I'm a life coach and I'm understanding that this destiny was here. And even in the church, this is what I say to people. Like, you say that it's already written, and you say that we'll never know the time and the day and all this other stuff. So why do we get so upset, one, over death, and two, when things are going well, we feel is going wrong? Because you said it was already written, right? So instead of me really focusing on the problem, I need to say, what is the solution? So I've always had a solution based thought process anyway. So it didn't matter
Mm-hmm.
what was going on, breakups, being stopped from taking my educational classes. Even through that, when that happened to me, when I had my first interview to become a teacher, I needed to have a middle school endorsement in social studies and ELA. So if Governor State wouldn't have stopped me from taking educational classes, I wouldn't have taken more social studies classes. So I wouldn't have had that endorsement. So, baby, it doesn't matter what you're going through at that time. It is for your good.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
one of the things I always tell my clients, we grow through what we go through.
Like
Mm-hmm.
that.
One of my biggest challenges in life, a challenge in from the perspective is I have a difficult time quitting. Um, when knowing when to let go of something because um, I want to make sure I'm doing all that I can do. When I was in eighth grade, my father gave me when I graduated from eighth grade, he gave me a poem.
Mm,
And I've been had this poem for years, and recently I gave it to my son, who's having a life challenge. And the name of the poem is "Don't Quit." They don't know who wrote the poem, but it goes like, "When things go wrong, as they sometimes will, when the road you're traveling or trudging seems uphill, when the funds are low and the debts are high, and you want to smile but you have to sigh, when
mm.
care is pressing you down a bit, rest if you must, but just don't quit. Life is queer with its twists and turns, as every one of us sometimes learns, and many a failure turns about when we might have won had we stuck it out. Don't give up through the pace, though the pace seems slow. You may succeed with another blow." And then it goes on, it says, "Success is failure turned inside out, the silver tint of the clouds of doubt, and never can tell just how close you are. It may be near when it seems so far. So stick to the fight when your heart is hit. It's when things seem worse that you must not quit." And
Yeah.
that's something that keeps me through. And he gave this to me at 14. And I've, for the majority of my life, I've had a stellar life. But it's only when I reached my 50s when I began to have experiences that I didn't even have in childhood, having to deal with what I would call being in a poverty paradigm. And so this things like this has kept me because it's part of a transformation. It's part of my destiny card. That king of clubs and that queen of spades. Those are some tough cards to have. And I say that
Mm-hmm.
this is my last go round. I'm not coming back no more.
Yep.
Like what's her name? Wrote the Tina
Oh
Marie.
yeah, that's my song, Tina Marie. Yes.
No, I've been here before. I'm not. I don't have to come back. I'm getting what I need to get in this last go round. So I
This
welcome.
is powerful. Yeah.
Yeah, it
You
is.
so
And I
go
love
ahead.
your poem. It really reminds me
Yes.
of my poem, right? When I was going through, I had to do a poem and do something that represented me. So I used Maya Angelou's "Still I Rise,"
Mm,
and
Mm-hmm.
I mean I use that against, and it's like I use that against anything. Still I rise, because it doesn't, and so that goes so along with don't quit, because it doesn't matter what happens,
Yeah.
but like dust, I'll rise,
optimism.
right?
Optimistic. Yes. Optimism. Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes.
so what I'm hearing is the attitude of optimism, having gratitude, affirmations, actually, and then the one that I love the most was trust. You've learned to trust life. You've learned to trust the process of life.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, can you imagine what it feels with people? I mean, there are people going through a lot right now,
Yes.
right? If
Mm-hmm.
we could just give them that little snippet of trust, it would carry them. And if it can carry you to tomorrow, it could carry you to next week,
Mhm.
right? And
Yes.
then the other thing is to don't quit.
Yes.
So you have to dig, you have to dig when you're not quitting, right? And be
Yep.
still inside of that. So that's powerful.
And don't
So
and you
now,
said it. Not
go ahead.
rushing not rushing the process. Sometimes we want to quit because we want it quick, fast, in a hurry. And so sometimes what I say, like when I pray, if it, let your highest and greatest good. So even though we have the power to speak something into existence, but I want to be careful that I'm not circumventing the process. I'm going to
That's
be
right.
careful because I have found that Earth School don't give doubles. If you
No,
don't get
you gotta go every step.
every step of the way, you got to get it. And like this destiny cards and some of the things we use in our craft, it really shows you that uh, every you have a hand, but every year you get a different hand. Life offers you respite. It offers you a rest, but there comes a point where you got to get back in it. So just the joy of life comes with the challenges. For without the challenges, you don't really have a sense of appreciation for the good. And
Yeah,
so that's just for me, just finding joy in life, not because. So I'm not a coach to get everyone to create the life they desire from the perspective of they have no sadness, no sorrows, no
that's
losses.
right.
Oh, I
That's
want to
right.
teach you how to win in life
In
regardless
spite
of
of
what,
that.
in
That's
spite
right.
of. Right,
Yeah,
right.
Hmm.
and that's what I try to teach even my students and my children. You don't. I got a son. He is going through, and he said today, "Oh, I just can't wait till this is over." I said, "You know what? Hold on." I said, "Just go through." I said, "Listen, go through it. That's all you can do. You got a support system. It's not like people truly turning their back on you. We give them enough. We give them enough to let him still feel the sting of these are your choices, though, son. I do give him that sting, but he knows at the end of this day that you're not going to be without shelter or food. That you
Hmm.
may not be able to do all these things you want to do, but it's going to be okay. Now it's time for you to step up and to step into who you really supposed to be. I can't carry you there. I can't walk you there. So
And yeah, and I know we'll get into more of this when we talk with you shares on Wednesday night. But one of the biggest challenges that parents have is they want to rescue their children.
yes,
And when you start rescuing your children, you literally are cutting them off at the knees
yeah,
because all they know is, oh, mama gonna save me, daddy gonna save me. And if you do that, now they don't know their own strength. They just
yes,
know I got a mama and a daddy. But that, okay, now if the mama and the daddy ain't there, what do you have? You haven't developed the capacity to live a full life,
right. Or be
you
independent
know.
because Oh, I was thinking about one of your questions when I was going over the questions, and you were talking about like some of the words or things like that. What resonates, what keeps coming back: independence and
Mm-hmm.
perseverance. Because I felt like if I would have been, oh, mama, help me, things like that, then that wouldn't have been showing my children um,
How to do it?
how to
Absolutely.
get out of it. And then also, it really struck me that I did it alone one time when my mom was going off because somebody said something about me and I didn't even know. And my mother was like, listen, Mecca put her own self through school. I was like, whoa, because sometimes you don't even realize what you're doing because you're
Yeah.
just going. You know you can't stop. So you're just going. And I didn't realize, like, yeah, I literally did. I put myself through school, so
Yes.
And
That's
sometimes,
wonderful.
sometimes people want to be rescued from their situation.
hmm
That's
Yeah.
why I don't tell a lot of people when I'm going through something, because if I tell you, I don't want you to rescue me. I
mm,
just maybe
Yeah.
want to share with you, because guess what? It's one thing to tell somebody you overcame something, but it's another
Mm.
thing to let them see how you are overcoming something, when
hmm
they
The
can see you
example.
going through the example, right? So when I share
Exactly.
things, I am sharing, and sometimes I'm a 64-year-old black male, have a lot of pride, and so now I'm working in a program where I sit with veterans who are at risk of homeless. And the thing I can see from the other side of the table when they're talking to me is they don't no way even think that I could have that similar conversation. But I have to tell them that at this point in your life, you have to accept where you are. Part of it may be because of choices you've made, but then sometimes perfect storms can come. And so you don't
Yes.
define yourself by the situation that you're in. You define yourself by your ability to be resilient, your ability to move from it. Don't get in a pity party. So we have to, as coaches, we're not part of we're not a rescue team. We're
right.
not here to rescue. Matter of fact, you can't afford me if you coming to be rescued. So it's not about
Exactly.
not bad, but we can, like, I don't expect my mom, when I had my situation, I didn't expect my mom to bail me out. Now, if I needed
Mm-hmm.
a temporary, but I'm not going to put her at risk. I'm not going to ask her to give me her mortgage or whatever to help me through a situation. I have this belief that source is my provider.
That's
And
right.
sometimes we have
Yeah.
to give source the opportunity. And I mean, for the old conversation, we say God is our provider, and then we come to the realization that we are the God that we're looking to deliver ourselves. So we
It's
have to know
within.
that we can
Mm-hmm.
do it. We can do it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I
wonderful.
was also thinking when you said that the source, I was speaking with someone and they was talking about, oh, and my children, and I understand why they don't got the $20. I'm thinking to myself, $20, baby. And I'm not being arrogant, and I'm not
Say
saying that
it.
I don't
You
wake up
say
sometimes
it.
and my account is negative something. But when I wake up in my personal account that I is negative something, I have no fear. I'll be like,
That's right.
oh, and I'll post a couple things or I'll send a text message, hey, I'm not working today. And then now I done got the abundance is here. So I never get afraid because it's like I told them, I said, money like coming to me. It like coming to my accounts. It gets joy. Money gets joy. Abundance gets joy to come to me. It wants to. It's happy
That's
that it's
right.
coming to my account. So
That's right.
don't, I don't live in lack, and I don't live
Yeah.
in. I just can't.
And that's a topic where actually Alanda has actually asked us to actually do a master class in the fall
Okay.
on building wealth. And so we're going to do a 3-day session like we did this spring. We did it on health and fitness, but in the fall we're going to do it on wealth and building.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, and so this summer everybody's working on that increase and that receiving. Mecca, you pointed to the ability to receive and make requests.
And
Yes.
it's about having it's about when you have a strong wealth frequency, money
That's right.
comes to you frequently. And then
That's
not
right.
only
And
do we
easily.
frequently, but it
Yes.
frequently, easily, anything you need. And I don't like sometimes people say abundance and wealth is not money. No.
Right.
I say
It's
money
not
is part
just
of abundance
money.
and wealth. Right. So we have
Yeah.
to be open to receive all the channels by which sometimes you don't need the money because somebody gives or gifts that thing to you. You don't have to
Yes.
pay $300 for the tickets because somebody gifted you the tickets. But then sometimes we stay
Mm-hmm.
in our mind. I like to give you an example. When I first went into ministry in 1992, I said to Source that if you're calling me into ministry, I will not have a storefront. Now, this is my conversation going right in. If I'm supposed to be serving God Most High, why would I need to go into a beat up storefront? Would you believe
Mm-hmm.
1 week the door was open for me to go where you got married, Mushu, that
Mm-hmm.
place that ultimately I didn't pay.
The
I didn't
Church
pay
of
no
Peace, the Peace
right,
Church. That was a
t-shirt. I didn't
beautiful
put no
place.
money down,
Mm-hmm.
and ultimately that was transferred to me because I never said to myself, I need to have a building fund. I never said that what I
Mm-hmm.
do. All I put the demand on the universe is I will do what you desire of me to do, but here's my expectation.
I know that's right.
And it happens. So that's
And
the
I think
joy of
about
life.
that sometimes
Right.
too
Right.
when you have people with houses and land and stuff like that. And I say, and I tell people this all the time. I have two masters in education. I can literally go to Chicago Public School and easily get 120. I choose not to do that because that's not my path right now. And I'm working where I'm supposed to be working. And I get the other flow from other places. So I don't
Sources.
have
Yeah.
to
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to be under that. I just got a job offer and I said, I'm not taking that job. Nope. Well, you gonna make 6 figures. That God didn't tell me to go there. I'm not gonna do it. So, it's not always about the dollar amount that's coming to you. Like you said, I do believe, I was fussing one time about a girl. I mean, it wasn't me just fussing about the amount. It was the principle of how the situation went. And you know what I said, but I released that and I'm good. The very within 2 days or something like that, somebody called me and said, "Hey, I got a ticket to about." It was to the same exact place, and I did. And I said, "Well, how much I owe you?" Well, you don't got to pay nothing. Not only did I not pay, I was chauffeured there. I got extra food, so I don't whine and cry about anything. Now, I may state my claim or I may say what upset me or things like that, but I'll never let it matriculate
Right.
a flow or
I want
hold
you
me
all
down.
to hear. I want you all to hear the frequency that because you kind of changed it automatically. We
Yes,
started talking about wealth and abundance.
yes,
Because that is part of what it feels like to affirm love for life.
yes,
you
Yeah.
you had that up frequency. Say, I think that was the first words out of your mouth when we got started. So tell me, why would you say that it's important to affirm life for others? What would you tell others about the importance of it?
one
Why is it
that
important?
one that you whatever you speak is coming back out to you. Whatever you feel,
Mm.
this energy that you have inside of your body, when you're putting that out, it has to come back. So it's better for you to get yourself together. And before you get in the crisis, you got to already have these affirmations. Sometimes, if you're not a person that can just boom, no matter what is going on to turn it around, you need to have those affirmations already ready. You need to have those on your steering wheel. You need to have it on your dashboard. You need to have it on your work office, on your desk,
On the
on your
mirror in the bathroom.
in the mirror in the
Exactly.
bathroom. You got to have those things already there so you're able to read it. It was one point in my life where I recorded myself saying
Yes.
affirmations. So then while I'm getting dressed, while I'm doing something, I'm hearing myself say those affirmations. So
Yes.
I can't live no other way. And it
Yeah.
feels so good. It feels so good.
So a large part of our history as people, African Americans, we have a strong Christian history, and one of the words says that let the words of my mouth
And the
and the
meditations of
meditations of my heart be acceptable. See, it's different. The words of my mouth comes from my heart, not the words in my mouth that comes from my head. Because I know people that have memorized affirmations all day long, but if they're not coming
But
from
the heart
your
ain't
heart,
right.
they don't have the
That's right.
resonance. That don't have the
That's right.
resonance. That's important. That we tell people it ain't a secret because in the name it, claim it, this law of attraction world we live in, they miss some very principles that it's not
That's
just
right.
memorizing something, but it has to be in your. If it don't move your heart, it won't move the situation. If it's
The
not moving,
vibration.
yeah, that's
That's
that.
right. The
The
freak.
heart
That's
gives the
right.
strongest vibration. It's more strongest, and the
Yes.
magnetism. The heart has a magnetism that the brain does not have, and
whoa.
we have to learn that. So for me, it's I have certain words that I speak all the time. Like I will say things like source, or I used to say God desires to do exceedingly abundantly above anything I could ask or think. So now I say source or the universe desires to do exceedingly abundantly above anything I could ask or think. So why do I even have to ask or think about it?
Whoa.
So
Yeah.
so I just resonate with like your children. When we had children, I love when my children were children. They didn't have to ask for
Mm-hmm.
anything. I knew when they were hungry. And I knew
Yeah.
when if they weren't hungry, they were outside playing. But it's time for you to come in and drink some water. It's some time for you to come in and sit
Yeah.
down. It's some time to just have some peace. And so we have to know that just like we took care of our children, the universe desires to take care of us. If we
Yeah,
can
that's
do
beautiful.
Wow.
That's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
Mm-hmm.
So now I want to do something because I love again that Mother Mecca is a newbie and Osir, you and I we're kind of like the elders, but we're all queens, right?
all
But I
Yes.
clean.
want to look at, when we're looking through the different phases of our life. So we have our childhood, we have our young adulthood, then we have our adulthood, and now we're grandparents. You know what I'm saying? When you're looking at your childhood, what can you say about affirming life that was there for you at that time in your childhood?
Again, I'm going to go back to what Asur said and about the Christian foundation. I think that
Hmm.
I really, my grandfather was a deacon. So, I mean, I just love going with him, opening up the church, closing the church, going to Sunday school, going to summer vacation Bible school. But also, that was like my entire family because it was the church that my great grandparents had started. Um, my great grandmother, I didn't know this until a long time, into adulthood. She was a person that always said it was solution based. So it
Mm.
isn't. She said, if it's raining, get an umbrella. If it's hot, go sit under a shade tree. So I was really raised in a solution based family. So it was always never big problems. It was always, what are we going to do about it? What's the solution? So I think that I can say that I had a very peaceful childhood. And that's what I can just go back to that all the time with my uncles and my aunties and stuff like that. My mom didn't drive, so we always was like chauffeured around with our uncles and stuff like that. So I look at it as a very positive environment for me.
Mm.
Yes. What would
And
you say, Sarah?
for me, I'm a '60s child. I grew up um, in the suburb of Maywood in '69, '68 when King was assassinated. They burnt up the west side. We moved to Maywood. It was like moving to Mayberry. It was like thought I was in heaven. But when I look at my childhood, but when you pose that question, I thought about it. In every phase of my life, what was the theme I saw? I saw that there was always resilience. I was learning
Mm.
resilience to withstand whatever was going through. I was learning how to adapt, how to maintain my emotional well being. Like in the '60s, we were. In the '60s. that's when we saw the Black Power movement come. And I saw this as a kid. And at 10 years old, I was in a school system that was very conscious. And so what for me, it always told me that we have to be able to withstand whatever. Everything was good in my community, in my family. But when I looked at society, I learned resilience. I learned I was the optimism seed was pushed on me when I moved from the West Side. When we moved from poverty to what I thought was extreme wealth, I learned, and I see these things. These are things that in every aspect of my life: resilience, optimism, having an unbreakable spirit. And then I see
Mhm.
transformation in every area of my life. And I didn't know all of this until I started studying the Master Force system, particularly when I looked at the cards of destiny. And my cards are all about transformation.
All the way through. Mhm.
Yeah. I mean the
If you're gonna be in
destiny
the
destiny
transformation
card
thing, right?
destiny card.
Transformation is about being broken, right? And optimism and resilience are all necessary things, attributes you have to develop if you really want to have full transformation. You know,
Yeah.
some people
Mm.
want partial transformation, but I want to go from the 0 to the 9, the whole rotation. Yeah.
That's
So
beautiful.
so so now when you look at yourself and we talked about earlier about the time in life when we were indifferent about it, and we went through some things. We didn't have as much optimism. This was probably more in our adult life, right? What were some of the themes there for you, that you really had to grasp for yourself?
Well, for me, when I look at when I went through the times of indifference, trouble don't last always. So no matter
Mm.
what whatever I go through, I see it like a storm. Storms don't stick or stay; they
Mm.
pass through. But a storm will stay. Like if you ever been in the midst of a storm, like I've been on an airplane that was about to crash, and that was the
Ooh.
longest few minutes because you are stuck in the now of what's right now. So we always talk about living in the now, but if your now is bad, you have to be able to live outside of the now. That is, that
Oh.
you can imagine or you know that it's going to be better. This too shall pass. So for me, I have a
Mhm.
real unique. I've had a lot of things transpire in my life, um, but I've always had the ability to know that it'll be better soon. And I
Yeah.
think that's been part of what creates as you think, so it is. So if you think it's going to last for a week, it'll last a week. If you think it's going to last for a day, it'll last. But then if you just know that I'll get through this in due season and be
Mm.
present for right now. What can I be grateful for right now? What can I
Yes.
do right now? Okay. So I don't have money. I don't have the car I used to have. I can take a walk. I can go spend more time in nature. I can,
Yes.
I can spend more time
Mhm.
with people. I can spend more time with people who are worse off than me.
Yes.
Not from a judgment place, but from a place of gratitude. Wow, I still got teeth to eat. Right. So
That's it.
Just
I
Yes.
totally, I
Absolutely.
totally, I totally agree. Perseverance, positive attitudes. My things is that solution based. It's always that. It doesn't matter. Nothing. Even in my adulthood, when I was going through everything with my job and my not this one, but my last job, and I talked to Mood, and she said, why would you sit there and play this game with this man? Why didn't you walk out? I said, I did. She said, why did you return? And I mean, I had this conversation with her, and then they was like, yeah, I'm gonna fire you. It was April Fool's Day, and I was laughing. I'm like, please fire me. And it's like I went from April 4th not working to the end of the school year. They had to pay me out. So I was, like you said, I was out in nature. I was on the beach. I was laying low. I was doing everything. I just enjoyed my little time. And I said, because first of all, and I swore, I swore, I'm like, I ain't never teaching again. So I took my whole break. I started my business, and I healed what hurt me from the district. And then I was able to go back, but I didn't even realize that I was really hurt until I went to sub the next school year. And when I walked into a peaceful environment, which I work there now, that's when it kind of like flowed through me. Like, these people, I let them
Different.
get to me.
Mm-hmm.
And it just, but it did not matter what I was going through, because I still had a smile on my face. I still sat out there in that nature, and it built another part of me that made me like really now stand on what, like my kids say, SOB, stand on business,
Mm.
because
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't matter what's going on. I know I'm educated. I know these things. I know this. And so I'm going to make it through. It's just, so those things always play out. And when you said about the destiny, it's when the destiny cards, I mean, I looked at the destiny cards when I was doing my life coaching class. But when I went to move, because I felt like I didn't know, I just did not know where I was going. I felt like I didn't understand what was going on. And when I got that book, I literally I got the two books, I ordered them. And that has really, really changed my life. And I'm at the point where somebody can say, "Hey, how you doing? When's your birthday?" Because when is your birthday? They be like, "Why you want to know when is your birthday?" I don't care what you're talking about.
What
Tell
are
me
you
that.
showing up to teach me?
We will
Right,
not.
exactly.
We shall not continue this conversation. So, um,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm looking it up. If you my neighbor, honey, let's see what's this
Yeah.
going on.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
it has really truly changed my life, the Destiny Cards, and I love both books. So, I mean,
Yeah. But now it's okay. Now grandparents. Now we're at the phase of grandparents. What is the theme that's present there for you inside of the whole affirming love for life? What is that like?
well, my grandfather is 93.
Ooh.
So whenever we're in his presence, we have 5 generations. And if that doesn't teach you about life, then I don't know what it could be. And
Mm-hmm.
and I know that his words, I mean, he can say, "Look at the grass." I know that's wisdom. So
Mm.
that right there shows me how powerful life is. And I remember like some of the things, like, I was raised in this Christian home, but he always kind of, when I go back and think about these conversations, always let me know that it was another side. Because I remember one
Mm-hmm.
time I asked him, I said, "Granddaddy, why?" I was a little child, and I said, "Why some people prostitutes and on drugs?" And he said, in their formal life, they probably was blah blah blah. And I was like, "What? Why they don't teach us
Former life.
formal life?" And and so my grandpa, and I remembered he told me that. And so I'm like,
Wow.
okay, so that is, and so being that gives me so much joy, just being a grandmother, because now I am seeing, when I go to like a restaurant and it's me, my daughter, and those boys, that's 3 generations sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to keep on passing down because all of it's not written. So I got to keep on passing down what my grandfather has told me. So now these boys are able to keep on passing it. So now I even pray.
Yes.
I said, "You know what, Source? I want to see my great grandchildren, because my grandfather get to see his.
That's right.
I'm going on."
That's right. That's right. What about you, Osir? What is the theme in the grandparent zone for you?
For the grandparents, the major thing for me, first I have ten grands, and I try to look at them and feel them to see who they are, who they're showing to be. The biggest thing is for them to grasp the idea of being authentic to themselves,
Yes.
not be other people, not to expect success to come in a way that the world says, like, you got to go to school, get a diploma, do this, that,
Mm-hmm.
got to bounce a ball. And I had a conversation with my one grandson recently. He just graduated from high school, and we were talking about a couple options. Just I was really not really guiding him, but was like asking him clarifying questions. And when I called him after the graduation, he says, "I'm thinking I'm going to work for to the post office." And I said, "I don't think that's a good move for you because you're going to waste your life away." And here's another poem. I gave him this poem, and I told him, because this poem, it has been my own story through my life. It says, the person that wrote this poem by the name of I think it's Rittenhouse. It says, "It's my wage." You may have heard it. "I bargained for life for a penny, and life would
Hmm.
pay no more. However, I begged that evening when I counted my scanty store. For life is just an employer. He gives you what you ask. But once you have set the wages, why must you bear the task? I worked for a menial's hire, only to learn dismay that any wage I had asked life would have willingly paid." And so the conversation I'm having with my grands who are on this material track, you don't have to work for wealth. Matter of fact,
That's right.
if you're working, you won't have wealth. That is
Wow.
not to
Nope.
say that you
You
won't.
have a job and a paycheck.
Right. And so that's the for me, because we live in a day and age where our children want it. They have had access to so many things, but at the same time, they think the only way to get it is to grind for it and to do grinding
Mm-hmm.
for it. And so we have to. My goal is to teach them, because I gave all of them the book, um, the Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. All the graduates got that.
Right.
And none of them had called me and started a conversation. So next time they call me for money, I'm gonna ask them, "Do you think Granddaddy has money?" They're gonna say, "We know you have money," but I'm saying, "How do you think I got it?" They're gonna say, "Cause you work." No, I don't have it because I work. Cause I live far above what I get in a paycheck. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to
Mm-hmm.
get them to see. So at this point in life, early in their lives, and later in my life, I still have to deal with the money conversation, like trading time for money. I really try
That's
to
right.
get out of that paradigm, because it's depreciating. Because you give, like, I give a lot of value, um, and sometimes when you are giving value and you have to put a money thing on it, people will devalue it. So just not
Mm-hmm.
really wanting to be in that whole conversation. So for me right now, in this point in my life, is making sure this material thing does not overwhelm the children, or making sure that they don't become so material that they miss the spiritual aspect. Now, we had a generation that was so spiritual but did not get the material. As I believe there's a happy medium between the
The
spiritual
balance is
and
coming
balance.
over. Absolutely.
So balance is a
Mm-hmm.
big part of where I'm at right now with myself and my children, my grandchildren.
So, what's
That's
the name of
wonderful.
the book again?
The book that I got them was Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of
Now,
people
do you go ahead? A lot of people go ahead.
have that book, but they've never really read the book. They
Oh,
Hmm.
that's one of my favorites.
they get
Mm-hmm.
bits and pieces of it. That's like the power of the subconscious mind. You need to go through that book. Those are two books
And
that I
more
think
than
everybody should
once.
have. Yeah,
I go through. I read that one at least once a year. I read that one along with the Power of Your Subconscious Mind
yeah.
at least once a
Now
year.
that's interesting.
Yes,
I,
absolutely.
I wrote in their books. I wrote each of their books. I wrote the same thing. So in 40 years, when I'm gone, and they say, "Granddaddy gave me this book, and he wrote this in
Yeah.
my book." He wrote the same thing in all
Oh,
the other books. I told you guys to read it once a year at least,
yeah.
and then as life requires.
Amen.
Yes, absolutely.
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
So now, do you guys feel that you have an experience of freedom in your life now? Do you have a sense of that?
most definitely for me. At this point, I'm accepting I'm I'm the authority and not just the author of my life.
Wow.
And I have the freedom. I do. what I desire to do. And I guess part of it comes realize I'm 64. We're the grandparents, we're the seniors. So you know how seniors used to think they could do anything they want. I feel that way, but not in a disrespectful way. I finally
Right.
feel like I'm the not just the author, but I'm the authority of my life.
Wow.
And
Mm-hmm.
and that's so important to me. You know, we got a lot of people writing books. They want to be an author, but they're not the
Yes.
authority of their life. And
Wow.
so that's
Yes.
my life is my book. Um, and,
Yes.
and so that's when I write my book. I want it to be filled with anecdotes, filled with experiences, not just this AI produced thing, but it's,
Right.
you know, if you use the AI, it enhances it for, you know, whatever reason. But for the most part, the root of it is realizing the authenticity that I represent, the authority
Absolutely.
that I represent, um, and just being a king of clubs and a queen of spades, knowing I was born at the right time, and,
Yes.
and I'm catching up
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
I'm catching up with my destiny.
That's wonderful.
That's right.
I feel that I am the freest that I've ever been. I really enjoy
Yes.
where I am right now. I know that I am not there with you. I love and I really appreciate and I'm so happy that I was able to work with you today because you have given me some, I'm like, yeah, I'm 48, so I can get there,
Right.
by
Mm-hmm.
64. So I really appreciate you sharing who you are and everything. And it just gives me more hope and joy, to know that I'm in the right direction.
You're right where you're
And
supposed to
Mm-hmm.
be.
and
Right.
I am,
Yes.
and another thing, what you had said earlier about visualization, I do that often. So, like,
Mm-hmm.
even when my daughter, she was going into surgery and she said, Ma, are you scared? I said, baby, I'm already at home with you,
Mm,
tucking you in
that's
Mm-hmm.
bed.
right.
So I'm already, and even though I had to turn away because she was crying, I wasn't crying because I was afraid. I was crying because she had to go through that. And
Right.
it made me feel like I wish I was vegan earlier when she was a child. And because when we go through our lady stuff, that's directly linked to our food. And so it took me there, but it was a lot
Wow.
that you said that made me know that I'm on the right track. But this is the freest that I have ever felt, even in my relationships, because I'm single and I'm like for real single, like not even dating single. And
Yeah.
that's
Well,
something
that's
to
about
me.
to be over. No, I'm
I had
joking.
a look, I had a boyfriend in kindergarten, baby. I had a boyfriend in pre-K, honey. So I'm like,
Right.
and I tell source, look, I don't know. I like being a girlfriend, boyfriend, wife, all that. So it's not that I don't want that, but I'm also comfortable in sleeping alone, going on trips with my girlfriends, doing those things for myself and finding myself beautiful, beautiful without someone else, having to let me know that.
Right. And
Exactly.
I
That.
like that you said that. People struggle with aloneness. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with being alone. That means all one. The problem is when you
That's
become
right.
loneliness. And
Yes.
so when you learn to be
Mm-hmm.
all one, like I have a significant other in my life, but I spend a lot of times. People say we'll never see you with nobody else. First of all, you don't need to see everything I do, but secondly, I spend a lot of time with myself. Um, Talking about being
Yes.
free, I was married for 30 years, you know, so I had to
Yes.
acquiesce to the needs of a family. And this is finally the place in my life where I can come home, I can leave. Like sometimes she comes to visit my place, and sometimes I got books everywhere. She said, "You need no, I don't need to clean up this place. That's why I got my own space. I clean it up when I want to clean it up. You about to leave, but so I'm saying,
Okay.
right? And just couples make that mistake. We become so
Mm-hmm.
enmeshed, and so I'm free. I love women. I love having a woman, but there was a season in my
Mm-hmm.
life where that wasn't important. Matter of fact, when I met her, I wasn't looking to be in a relationship with someone. At that point in my life, I was probably had been celibate about 5 years.
Bless your
I
business.
was
Mm.
I was selling a little bit here. I was selling a little bit there. No, no joking, no joking, no. No, but I was literally celibate for 5 years.
That close
But
almost came all the way out.
I never thought that I could do it, would do it, wanted to. I didn't desire, but it wasn't that I put myself on that path. I just became enmeshed in finding me and the joy of
Yes.
a relationship that was not contingent upon that exchange, and how sex often clouds relationships. And
Yeah.
so
Yes.
I had a litany of women who were my friends, and people would always say, "Oh, you hitting that?" No, man, that's what brothers would say. You hitting it?
Right.
No, I'm not
Yep.
hitting that. No, she fine and
Yep.
all that, but that's not what I want from her.
Right.
Yep.
The freedom, yeah, the freedom. So when we talk about freedom, for me, freedom in every area of my life, I feel free spiritually. I'm not on no religious dogma. I feel free emotionally. I feel free
Yes.
physically. I had to
Mm.
deal with some things. When we talk about the joy of life, recently I had an encounter with diabetes, and this came from nowhere. But I looked at Louise Hay's book, and it says diabetes has a lot to do with not feeling that there's losing the joy of life.
Right.
And
No
I had
more
yeah,
sweetness left.
right,
That's
no,
right.
and
Hmm.
that's this conversation. That was part of the indifference, and I didn't even know I was at a point of indifference about some things. Like you give a lot of
Yes.
value. Like I still do the church thing, and I offer a lot of value. Um, and I don't pass the plate. I just encourage people to sow a seed if you've gotten something. And people, they will let you give, give, give. They will take, 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 and that can affect you. But then I had to
Yeah.
reset myself by saying, okay, I deliver this service because I love to do it. Source will provide for me. So where I should have been getting, or I thought I should have been getting from this stream, where I was sowing into, it started coming from other places. You
That's
know,
right.
somebody sent me $2,000 one day. I'm like, this is somebody just saw one YouTube video that said that
Wow.
video changed my life, and they sent $2,000. I'm like, wow,
Thank you.
Wow.
you
I need to
Hmm.
get back on my
do
YouTube.
your thing, and your thing will do for you. That's
Yeah.
important.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is
And
so
and when
true.
you said doing my I wanted to use the word quest. So doing my quest of finding myself, I also proclaimed my nationality as a Moorish American.
Okay.
And it was just, that was part of me understanding what my dad was going through and things like that. But I find myself also, I felt myself being in a box there because I'm like, okay, I left one religion and went to another one, and it's the, it's still a box. And so
Yeah.
I enjoy um being part of the movement, being having that as my proclamation. I'm still not in the religious part of it where I'm going to the temple every Friday, eating, and stuff like that. Because I was like, Friday's my day of rest and peace. It's like, and then I gotta wait to 7:30 to go here and drive. So, I was like, so I found myself not being there,
Yeah, and I
and it's
respect
freeing.
right, right. I respect anybody's position as a coach. I deal with people that come to me on with different religious systems, and my goal there is to help them to clarify what their beliefs are. And some of them will ultimately say, "This no longer serves me at this point in my life." Anything
Yeah.
that I have to put on, like when I say I am, and whatever comes next, I'm very careful. If it
Yes.
defines me into a box,
Yep.
I don't say it.
Yep.
I don't.
Jumping out of it.
Right. You know, I'm a
Yeah.
divine spiritual being experiencing being a human being. So
Yes.
Mm.
that's how I
That's
do. So I
beautiful.
take all these spiritual practices, and if it don't work, I'm tossing it. That's
Yeah.
how I live my life.
Well, that actually does lead me to the next question, which is what has been the greatest reward in being a life coach?
Ladies
I
first.
want what? Say it again.
Ladies first.
Oh, um, just to see when I'm working with clients, just when I see things, when I literally can see it falling off of them. when they
Mhm.
came in and couldn't even speak. And
Mm.
now they're like, thank you. It was like this. It was this simple that all I had to do was look in this. And when they say, what? This book, I
Yes.
have some people that's totally afraid. They like, oh, I'm Christian, blah, blah, blah. Just listen first. Don't,
Yes.
just listen, you know.
Yes.
And my most favorite client, he's 97 years old. And
Mm.
I mean, this man is so sharp with his mind and everything like that. And I mean, I love to change my hair just for him because it's like he like, Mecca, you've changed your hair. So I can't wait to see he sees this. And then he'll ask me like, well, what is that? And things like that. So I know. So it's just me, seeing the change in someone and them really understanding and knowing that my food intake, the things that I'm listening to, the things that I'm watching, these things I have to change all of that to be my number one self and them embracing it. And so that's my favorite thing about being life coach, wellness practitioner, spiritual.
Yeah, and doing the work on yourself first. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Wonderful.
yes.
What about you, Sarah? Mhm.
For me, seeing my clients as an opportunity to reflect and not judge, meaning every client that shows up, not only are they coming to solve a problem in their lives, but it also gives me the opportunity to reflect because I believe we are all one. So through
Yeah.
observing them, through being that question board, I am growing also. So I grow immensely. I'm who I am today because the number and the variety of types of clients that I have dealt with. The joy of seeing that these things work if you work them.
Yeah.
To not,
Mm-hmm.
not only see most people will read a book, they try to backdoor engineer their lives by reading a book. But sometimes you need to get with somebody who can work with you through that book. Maybe there's a
Yes.
part of the book you don't want to read, and that's the very part of the book you should be reading. So for us as coaches,
Mm.
I'm an accountability partner. I can't
Oh,
force you to
Yes.
do anything, but I can be there to help you get clarity. So to see the light come on in an individual, and then from the perspective of what somebody else is growing through, I don't even have to go through. I can get the lessons by osmosis by just being present and being.
Observing somebody else. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's been a wonderful journey, and then particularly when I have those clients that really see the value and they respond accordingly. It's not about how much; it's about this is something that is serving me, and this is something that I'm willing to pay for. So
yeah.
that's yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it helps me grow every day.
Wonderful.
Um,
Yes.
So, we're winding down. I know it doesn't seem like we've been talking that long, but we are getting to
hey,
the top of the hour.
when three queens get together, it gonna go real fast.
It's gonna
Okay.
be so fast, right? So, tell us where can people engage with you? What do you have going on? Tell us, tell us how we can find you. They want to be able to participate with you.
Okay. Well, I can be found at Solutions, and I chuckled when my sister is talking about solutions, but I'm Solutions,
Yeah.
like SOUL Solutions, solutionsforliving.com. I guarantee if you go out there, you'll find all kinds of stuff. I have a podcast, not a podcast, a blog that's a daily blog, affirmations you can use. I got a lot of stuff out there. Go poke around. If you want to reach me by phone, I have my business phone, which is 708-368-1076. I'm doing something really wonderful this summer. It's dealing with are you stuck in your BS? It really is the belief system master course. Are you stuck in your BS? But it really means are you stuck in your belief systems? So you can find that out
Hmm.
there. Yeah. So this just
Wonderful.
that's what I'm doing this summer right now, and that's how they can catch me. Yeah.
Wonderful. What about you, Mother Mecca?
That is so wonderful. That 1076, first of all, my office number is 1010. I was born in
Okay.
76, but then that 176, I love numbers. So anyway, we just were supposed to be together. So anyway,
Yes.
I am Mother Mecca. You can always find me on Facebook as Mecca C. Eves. You can find me on TikTok as Mother Mecca 115. And you can contact me at 708-253-8795. I am currently in my summer schedule. So on Fridays, I am off all day. So if you want to book, you need to book early because I will take a flight in a minute. Okay. So I really want to give my weekends to myself, but I will give some time for clients as well. I'm also in only teaching to 12:15, so I'm available after 1 o'clock. You can find me on the podcast, Mother with Cosmic Weather with Moot. We have.
Hmm.
Are we done? I think
We
we
are, but they have 12 episodes that they can catch.
can
We
catch
love
and
to
we can go back
read.
and watch.
Hmm.
So because of
Hmm.
Moot though, and doing those with her, I do want to continue that because it has really helped me understand what's really going on physically, mentally, spiritually, and it's been helping other people when I could just be like, oh, this is why. So, just contact me. I always tell everybody you are loved individually because you're individually you.
Wonderful. And
And I want
then
to take your
before we,
class. So I do want to find out more about that because I really love your teaching style and just how you just resonate across
Awesome.
the board.
yes, yes. Wonderful. So I'm glad you all got to get that queen stuff out. Now, let me say this. Do you have any final words before we sign off? Anything that you need to say that you didn't say? Anything you want to leave your audience with on the affirming love for life?
Yeah. Well, I do. To continue to do what you've been doing, hoping, praying, and even expecting a different outcome is ludicrous if you're
Mm,
not going to make some changes. Problems and challenges that are reassuring require intuitive intervention. Notice I said when you have a problem or a challenge, it's telling you, it's showing you that there's something better, but you can't
mm.
change that with the same mindset on the same level that the problem is residing. Yeah,
That created it. That's right.
that's
Wonderful.
right.
And I just want to say that I really feel that this message what needed to be said, and you should be able to find some type of solace somewhere within here. It's no coincidences. So for me to start out where I was and walk through to get to here now, it I know that this resonates with someone out there, and just keep on going because guess what, you're going to get to the other side and start visualizing where you see yourself, because if you visualize it, it's going to happen.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And I just want to thank everyone for joining us. And remember to grab the supplement. I noticed that the producers are putting them on all of our pages, so you can find it on Ignite Your Soul Connection, as well as the Master Force International Leadership Academy, Master Force. So grab those supplements so you can stay in the conversation. And I just want to thank Osir and Mother Mecca for the kickoff. This was beautiful. Thank you so much. I love how everything worked out, and just the different levels we were able to play with tonight. I really love that. And then you guys are the only people I'm facilitating because for the rest of the week, we have Dr. Sandra and her husband, Oron, and I should have said Oron and his wife, Dr. Sandra. They're going to be facilitating. So we have tomorrow night with Teresa Lugo, who's going to be talking about affirming love for family. So please join that conversation. And then on Wednesday, we have Nin Yushes Ray, who's going to be talking about the children. And then on Thursday, did I say Wednesday? Thursday, we have Alanda, and we actually have Dr. Tammy, who are going to be talking about community, love for community. That's a big conversation because we have to love our community. You can tell we don't love our community. Why? Because look at all the trash outside. Y'all keep waiting for somebody else to pick it up. And then on Friday, my favorite conversation with Lotus Love, it's going to be affirming love for self. So
Yes.
be sure to tune in each night. And we thank you for being with us. And so we're signing off and we're saying, keep love alive. Good night,
Love.
everybody.
Life is for me. Life is for me. I love and approve of myself. I love and approve of myself. All that I need is already taken care of. All that I need is already taken care of. I am willing to grow and to change. I am willing to grow and to change. I love my amazing life. I love my amazing life. Thank you for joining us this evening.